Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. And whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a cafe au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 110th episode of The Simple Sophisticate, and welcome to the 4th of July. If you are in the States celebrating, it is definitely a day to celebrate that long weekend. And if you are an expat celebrating abroad, I hope you're enjoying the day. And if you're just someone who has the opportunity to have an extra day off, I hope you are enjoying that extra day off as well on this lovely Monday morning. Either way, whether you have the day off or not, I hope your week is going to start off wonderfully. And hopefully today we're going to talk about something that will remind you one significant element that will ensure that every day can be a fantastic day. But before I get into what our topic is all about, I want to talk about briefly what this week's petit plaisir is. It is a recipe that I completely made up on the fly and was so excited with how it turned out. It is something you can cook on the grill or in the house, whether or not you are someone who enjoys cooking on the barbecue or prefers the trusted factor of the kitchen stove and oven. So stay tuned for the end of today's episode where I'll share this week's petit plaisir. It is a simple appetizer that is absolutely scrumptious. But back to today's episode, we're going to talk about willpower, the best learned trait we can possess. And I want to start off with a quote from the book that inspired today's episode, which was recommended to me by a friend. And while the book was published a few years ago, it was a bestseller. It's the topic of conversation, and it continues to be referenced and referred to in articles that are published this year. So let's start off with a simple quote. Ultimately, self-control lets you relax because it removes stress and enables you to conserve willpower for the important challenges. And this is from Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength. Much like a tank of gas, when we wake up in the morning every single day, depending on how much sleep we've had, our minds will contain a finite amount of willpower that will gradually be reduced, but never increased until we fuel it up again with rest and proper food. Have you ever wondered why you are more quick to be annoyed or less able to hold your tongue at the end of the workday versus at the beginning of the day? Most likely it is because your willpower has been reduced or weakened. Willpower and self-control, are they the same thing? And I wanted to make sure I looked at that because I was thinking, wait a second, aren't they the same thing? Well, yes, they basically are. But what I like actually about the name self-control is that it reminds us that we hold the power. So while I'll be using those terms interchangeably, they are the same thing. But I think by using self-control from time to time, it reminds us that, hey, this is something we can build. This is a skill we can nurture in ourselves. We may not have what we want right now, as much willpower as we want, but we can create what we need. So it's much like a muscle. We exercise this muscle, which makes it then easier to use it less often. What? Wait a second. How does that work? Don't we want to use it more often? Well, renowned and highly regarded social psychologist Roy F. Baumeister, who co-authored the best-selling book we've been talking about, Willpower, Recovering the Greatest Human Strength, discovered an unexpected paradox. People with more self-control don't use it as often. In 2013, I wrote a post sharing the 5 primary benefits of possessing self-control, and I'll provide a link to that on today's show notes. Well, based on Baumeister's research, it is easier to have self-control when we keep our fuel levels of willpower as high as possible throughout the day. In other words, no unnecessary taxing or usages of fuel. Let me share with you another quote from the book. When psychologists isolate the personal qualities that predict positive outcomes in life, they consistently find two traits. Number one, intelligence. And number two, self-control. So far, researchers haven't learned how to permanently increase intelligence, but they have discovered, or at least rediscovered, how to improve self-control. Something to ponder, right? So how can we preserve as much willpower as possible throughout each of our days? Because that's really our goal. When we wake up, we want to make sure we're not unnecessarily depleting that tank of fuel, because it's going to make sure we make good decisions. It's going to make sure that we are able to think clearly. It's going to make sure we're able to enjoy the day and better communicate and get along with others. So number one, be a planner. In other words, simply stop procrastinating. Be preventative. This is number two, ties in very well with number one. Number two is play offense instead of defense. Be preventative when it comes to care and maintenance for your health, your home repairs, your beauty routines, your savings, so your finances. 3, know your individual language. Become acutely in tune with yourself in order to recognize when you are either becoming more frustrated than normal, losing control of your impulses, whether it's with your eating, your spending, or your sharing. And then when you can recognize that, you can pull back before your depletion goes too far. So this is a part where I think a lot of people forget or aren't aware until they are finally aware that you are unique. You are going to be different from those that are in your family, that you work with, that you're friends with, who you have a relationship with. And so while a certain situation may not tax them as it's going to tax you, you need to be able to recognize that and figure out a way to work through it or step away from it or to avoid it altogether. And every situation is going to be different, just like every person's going to respond to it a little differently. Number 4 is to maximize low demand time in your life. I love this one. We all have times throughout either the year or during a certain month or during certain times of the month or even during our day when we have fewer demands placed upon us. It's important that we use those down times to cultivate positive habits that put us on the offensive and help us reduce stress. For me, it's summertime. I have one job instead of 2. My schedule is mine. And so I really try to cultivate habits that are going to be healthy, that will make the rest of the year so much more contented so that I can really enjoy my life and not be as stressed. It's hard to create new habits when your life is uber busy, but our lives aren't uber busy 24/7, 365 days of the year. And if they are, maybe we should take a step back and tweak it. We do have low demand times, and we have those low demand times. It's a good time to look at our lives and say, ooh, that habit would be a good one. If I can establish that, then I don't have to think about that, and that will help me improve in this way. So that's number 4, maximize low demand time in your life. Number 5 is make to-do lists. I am a queen of to-do lists. I love them. They are simply, truly for me, fun to make, let alone complete and check off. For goodness sakes, a lot of my podcast episodes are lists themselves, not necessarily to-do lists, but lists. When you become a planner in some capacity, every one of us is going to do a little differently. Set goals and be clear about why you want to pursue these goals. Don't set too many. Keep it between 2 to 5, 3 to 5, depending on the time period of how much time you're giving yourself to accomplish something. And then make mini goals and discover the small steps that it will take to get there. Ultimately, your daily to-do list will in some way be tied to your goals. So for example, when maybe your daily list has grocery shopping, well, that particular small goal will then tie to your overall goal, which is to improve your health. Or another daily to-do list may be to schedule your seasonal facial. That's a to-do list. Well, how does that tie to a bigger goal? It ties to finding balance in your life and caring for yourself. So do make to-do lists. They make a tremendous difference. It's really part of that whole preventative way of approaching life so that you're not buried by, oh shoot, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. This is that preventative planning as well. Number 6, get a full rested night's sleep each and every day. If we want our tank full of willpower, we've got to rest. So many things within our body are rejuvenated when we sleep. And it's imperative that we respect that process. It is absolutely imperative. Number 7, take care of your health. This is the preventative part. This is also the enjoyable part, getting outside, eating well, keeping our mind strong, keeping our bones strong. Set a regimen that works for you and your schedule and stick to it. Number 8, monitor yourself. It was found in the book Willpower that those people who had regular monitoring in their lives, whether they're trying to watch their weight and they're always getting on the scale, or they're journaling about their moods, or they're journaling about their life, whatever it is that was a monitoring process, those people were more likely to be successful in their life. So let your genes tell you to start limiting the desserts more often. Write down what you've done when it comes to progressing or regressing regarding your goals. Seeing it on paper or on a screen often catches us before anything gets out of hand or too far out of hand, thus reducing excessive stress down the road. So number 8 is monitor yourself. Number 9 is never say never. Don't eliminate entirely all bread from your diet, for example, but instead allow yourself to have bread only if it's fresh, from an artisanal oven, or only once a week. You set the parameters. That's the key. Set clear and simple parameters, because basically what you're doing by doing that is you're already making the decision ahead of time, so you don't have to exert any extra willpower to make the decision when you are presented with the option of bread. Number 10, one option or nothing. I love this one. If you're going shopping, only spend the amount of cash you have in your wallet and do not allow credit cards or debit cards to be an option. This is just an example, by the way. But if you're trying to curtail your spending, or you're trying to remain in your budget, that might be an option for you, one option or nothing. You don't have all these other options. You only get one choice. And again, you're making the decision beforehand. So therefore, you're not depleting your willpower when you have to make the actual choice on the spot. Number 11, include rewards. Building up your willpower or your self-control will take time. So reward yourself for the progress you make along the way. If you adhere to the first week of your meditation schedule, reward yourself with, say, a new song to meditate to and download it from iTunes. The reward does not have to cost much or anything at all, but give yourself the motivation to keep going until the habit becomes ingrained and you don't have to think about it anymore. So number 11 is include rewards. Number 12, use your self-control to form daily habits that are beneficial. And so when you do this, by doing so, you're expending less energy in the long run. So you may think, well, I've got a lot of daily habits. And you probably do have a lot of ones that are benefiting you. But this is the thing, as we mentioned at the top, self-control is about being preventative. If we can put into place things that help us live a better life, we have less taxes on our decision-making process because we're not presented with temptations to actually say no to something or to do something that wouldn't be beneficial. So put into place habits that are good so that you aren't having to use your self-control so much. All right, so those are the 12 ways you can preserve as much willpower as possible each and every day. Now let's talk about the benefits. Now, just a reminder, all of this is broken down in so much more detail and so much more research in the actual book, Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength by Roy F. Baumeister and John Tierney. I'm going to provide a link to that on today's show notes, so don't worry. I highly recommend it, by the way. In fact, I actually picked up my copy at the library, checked it out, and I'm thinking I need an actual copy to keep in my library because I'm going to be wanting to refer to this quite often. I devoured this book. I picked it up last week and finished it in a couple days. It was fantastic. So let's talk about these benefits. We're preserving our willpower, but what is the actual benefit of having all this fuel of willpower? Well, as the quote at the beginning of the episode reminds us, it is the ability to create positive outcomes in our lives. The more willpower we have, the more self-control we have, the more likely we're going to have a successful life with regards to what we pursue, what we desire, what we want in our lives. But let's break that down a little bit. So number 1, it improves our social relationships. When we can successfully monitor our impulses, whether it's what we say or what we do, we are less likely to say or do something without first considering the outcome and how others would feel or what might be gained or lost should we actually act upon our thoughts. So number one is it improves our social relationships, which is a tremendous part of our overall contentment, right? Whether it's relationships at work, our community, and most importantly with our personal relationships, our family, our friends, our romantic partner. Number two, another benefit is our compassion and altruistic nature increases. Because you are thinking about others while you are also experiencing your own pain or frustration, you are taking into consideration the pain and frustration that may be caused should you act on your impulse. Therefore, your perspective and understanding of others and the broader world expands, which leads me to number three. Your attraction builds. A byproduct of exhibiting self-control is that we recognize and engage with others. And when we engage with others, we are showing them we are thinking of them. And one of the most basic human needs, as we know, is to feel included, to feel recognized, to feel heard. Someone who exhibits willpower is better able to exude this energy because they are stepping outside of themselves and considering those around them. So number three is that it builds attraction. And number two is that compassion and altruistic nature does increase. Number four, your health improves. A funny discovery when it came to willpower is that dieting doesn't necessarily become easier with willpower. I loved reading this chapter. Well, why, you may be wondering? Well, it takes willpower to not eat certain foods and temptation, right? But in order to have willpower, we must eat. The good news found beneath this frustrating fact is that diets, and I'm putting air quotes around that term, as coined by our American culture, are not the solution. What is the solution is to understand food is required for good health without deprivation, and to do so moderately and by making wise decisions on the food we do eat. In other words, to go back to the list of ways to increase your fuel levels, never say never. Don't deprive yourself. Your body knows what it needs if you know the language of your body. If you don't, this will take time, but you can become fluent in it. And when you do, you will know that when you are tired, tossing back another cup of coffee isn't the best answer. Rather, a good night's sleep is, and firm boundaries need to be put down. Part of the reason many of us reach for sugar when we need a high because we're feeling exhausted or tired and we have to keep going because the day's not over is number one, it's readily available in our culture in pre-processed bags and goodies. And number two, it appears to work, at least temporarily. Okay, that makes sense. But this is the thing, because willpower does reduce our glucose level and we need glucose for energy. And I'm not a big dietitian here, and they'll go into it more in depth in the book, but this idea of depletion, we need to improve that. The body immediately screams for sugar. But the problem is we feed it either the wrong type of sugar or we feed it the wrong type of food that will ultimately give it that energy that it needs. The key is to reach, as we said, for the right type of food because we clearly recognize we need fuel. That's good. We're listening to our bodies, right? Instead, reach for protein, which will last far longer and be healthy in the long run. The problem with protein is it's not as immediate as sugar. So we don't necessarily associate it with something that we need if we're needing energy, but it will give us the energy. And then that energy will actually be prolonging our fuel system. Will be able to go much further, much longer. And as for sugar, reach for natural sugars. In a previous episode, I shared a list of how to feed our body well, and I'll provide a link to that on today's show notes. I also created an episode a couple years ago of how to lose those last 10 pounds, and a lot of it has to do, again, with the food we choose, and I'll provide a link to that on today's show notes as well. So number 4, one of the benefits is that our health improves. Number 5, strong willpower in one arena helps in the next arena. It's a domino effect. Every little practice of willpower helps. If you have a strong habit of turning down pop or soda, that ability, which is a strength, is applicable to be used, perhaps without you even knowing it, when you attempt to strengthen your willpower in another arena that will improve your life. Don't be afraid to start small, as it will be easier to establish small, simple habits than to immediately establish big habits. In fact, you may be deterred because you're not seeing a lot of progress right away. So start with small, simple habits. It's a snowball effect, the right kind of snowball effect. Once the habit has been formed, you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you can apply that energy to the next habit you would like to add to your life. So number 5, Strong willpower in one arena helps in the next. Number 6. Another benefit is that it controls our emotions. Now, don't misunderstand. This is not about suppressing emotions. No. In fact, when you suppress your emotions, as we know, you are using willpower, right? Suppressing, that's an action, it's energy. Which is depleting your finite supply, which makes you weaker when other decisions are presented. So no, don't suppress your emotions, as that would be absolutely unhelpful. Instead, we need to be aware of how we are feeling. Thus, we control it. Our emotions don't control us. And then we need to know how to successfully address our emotions or communicate about them in ways with others that are helpful rather than hurtful. And that's a skill. That's something we need to practice. We need to consciously say, hey, my emotions have control of me. That's not working for me. How do I fix this? And we've talked about this before on previous episodes and blog posts, but it's this idea of first getting to know yourself, recognizing yourself when this is happening, and then knowing how to successfully change directions without suppressing or ignoring. Because you're feeling that way for a reason. Understand the reason. Solve that so you can move forward. Number 7 is control of your thoughts. We've talked here on The Simple Sophisticate and on the blog, The Simply Luxurious Life, endlessly about the power of mastering our minds. But doing so is hard when our willpower level is depleted. Again, the key is to reduce our taxing of our willpower so that we can recognize helpful or hurtful thoughts and shift gears into more productive and uplifting images and ideas. Number 8, the last benefit, is improved performance. Whether at home or at work, when we are able to focus, we are better able to manage our time, manage or ignore distractions, and think clearly about how to successfully do what needs to be done. Most importantly, we are able to finish what we set out to do. Willpower enables us to focus. It enables us to complete well the task at hand. Studies have found, I want to share with you a finding from the book. Studies have found, with regards to this entire list of benefits, that people who have willpower, and here's a quote, they are more stable emotionally, less prone to anxiety, depression, paranoia, obsessive compulsive behavior, eating disorders, drinking problems, and other maladies. They get angry less often, and when they get angry, they were less likely to get aggressive, either verbally or physically. On the flip side, people with poor self-control were likelier to hit their partners, to commit a variety of other crimes, and even to speak with regards to children who have self-control, strong self-control. They have lower rates of obesity, fewer sexually transmitted diseases, and even healthier teeth. There are so many benefits across the entire arena of our lives, and it is a skill we can learn. Is it any wonder that those with great amounts of self-control, i.e. willpower, live successful and contented lives? While we can always and should always pursue to increase our knowledge, our IQ is basically the same as when we were a child. We cannot radically change our intelligence. Yes, we can change our knowledge and our skill set, but we can also change our willpower. We can improve it. It is a learned skill, and that is such good news. And if we eliminate all the unnecessary stressors and temptations, we reduce the need to use it as often so that we can think freely and well to make the most of each and every day. Whether we are pursuing a goal or strengthening relationships, it is willpower that is the key. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Like I said, thoroughly enjoy and highly recommend the book, Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength by Roy F. Baumeister and John Tierney. And I want to thank my good friend Julia for recommending this book to me. I have heard mention of it. I had never read it, and I absolutely devoured it. As I said, I'll have a link to the book on today's show notes, but you can probably pick it up your library as I did as well. Now, speaking of books, I've been doing some reorganizing on the blog, and you can now easily shop all the books that have been recommended, reviewed, and mentioned, whether on this and that, or on this podcast, or any other time throughout this podcast or blog, you can find them all in one spot very easily right here on the blog. Simply go to the Simply Luxurious Life shop, scroll down to books, and I've listed them chronologically beginning with the most recent. So you'll see this one at the top of the page, and I'll provide a link to that on today's show notes. So if you're interested in any of the books we've talked about on this podcast or on the blog, you'll be able to find them there, and I'll continually be updating them whenever a new book is mentioned. All right. I've also included, for your interest, similar posts on this topic, one about improving the luck in our lives, what really isn't luck. Opportunity meets preparation, right? And we're going to talk about that in that particular episode. I also have a link to a post about the truths of successful people, and also another one about how to cultivate good habits, since that's what we're talking about today. And you can find all of that on the show notes, the simplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast110. So 110. Now, stay tuned for this week's Petit Plaisir. It's an appetizer that you're not going to want to miss. I'll see you in just a few. All right. This week's Petit Plaisir is Carbonara Crostini. I know. When you hear carbonara, perhaps you, like me, think pasta. Well, it happened last month that I was flipping through Bon Appetit's grilling issue, and I saw this recipe for a grilled bread crostini with, they called it an impasta topping, because you remove the pasta, but you keep all the fantastic ingredients you enjoy with that particular pasta recipe, and you eat it. Now, the particular recipe they shared was for clam and pasta. And since I was thinking, there's so many other pasta recipes that I love, they recommended a couple. And one of the recommendations was carbonara, but they didn't share a recipe. I scoured everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I started thinking, Shannon, you know the ingredients in spaghetti alla carbonara. It's one of your favorite, if not your favorite, comfort food pasta. And it is. I love it. It's so easy. And you can make it in like 15 minutes. It's so simple. I'll provide the recipe of my recipe on today's show notes. And the ingredients are so short and simple. Anyway, so I started thinking how I'm going to do this. I challenged myself. I was like, you can do this. This is your snack for the day. Figure out how to make this crostini. So all I did was remove the egg from the recipe and everything else I used. And let me just say, oh my goodness, it was delicious. And if you are someone who likes to barbecue, you like to be out on the grill, you can grill the bread, as they did, obviously, in Bon Appetit issue. Grill the bread on the barbecuer, and then you melt the cheese, and then you put the topping on it that you've made. Well, I'm not exactly an expert on the barbecue grill yet. So my first attempt at this recipe, I made it on my stovetop. And that's the recipe I'm going to share with you today. But it's so simple. Let me walk you through it, because you're going to want to do it immediately. If you love carbonara, you're going to want to do it immediately. And even if you don't like carbonara, I have a feeling you have a favorite pasta recipe. Take a look at it. I know you can use this for your next crostini recipe. Just remove the pasta, remove certain ingredients that may not be feasible or work well. Like I said, I removed the eggs, and you still have the primary flavor that you love. So here we go. Well, first of all, pick a really good loaf of bread, freshly made from your local baker. I picked up a slice of strata, a loaf of strata from my local village bakery, and it's fantastic. It's rustic. It's got, a few holes here and there, and it's not a competing flavor with regards to the topping that I'm going to put on top of it, but it is fantastic. Got a little crunchy outside, it's beautiful. Anyway, so you want to heat your oven. If you're doing it inside in your oven, you want to heat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You can also do this on the grill, on your stove as well. Anyway, heat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Then on the stovetop, have a skillet and heat it to low to medium heat. Before the heat even starts to get 100% as hot as you want it, put your olive oil, a table of olive oil, and 4 ounces of diced pancetta. You're going to render the fat out of it, which is going to add to the flavor, right? So you're cooking that. You're cooking the pancetta while the oven's heating up. And then about, I'd say halfway through the cooking of the pancetta, you want to add your shallots, either a small or medium-sized shallot, finely diced up or sliced up. Add that to the skillet with the pancetta. And about 30 seconds before you take the pancetta off the stove, before it's done and brown and delicious, add finely chopped 1 clove of garlic to add a little bit of that garlic flavor. That's what I love about spaghetti alla carbonara. Now, if you don't like garlic, you don't have to do that. Speaking of garlic, before you put your bread in the oven, you're going to want to slice it on the bias. Then you want to rub it with a clove of garlic that has been chopped in half to add some garlic flavor. Then you're going to want to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on each slice. Put it in the oven for 5 to 7 minutes. Now you want to toast the bread, not too entire done toasted, just to lightly toasted, just so it's a little more crunchy, because you're going to put it back in the oven here in a second. So once the bread has been toasted, just enough, take it out, shift the gear of the oven to broil. Now, again, if you're on the grill, you're not going to do anything differently. You may put it more on direct heat right above the coals. But what you're doing is you're going to sprinkle freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano, about 1/4 cup. If you're doing the big slices of bread, not the baguette slices, you want a lot of Parmesan. And again, it's up to you. Put about 1/4 cup of Parmesan on each slice. Put it back in the oven under broil and broil it until the cheese is bubbly and melted. Take it immediately out of the oven. Dish your topping on top, the pancetta, the shallot, and the garlic. Dish that on top of each slice. Sprinkle a little bit of chopped Italian parsley on top, and voila. So simple. And oh my gosh, so good. The buttery of the Parmigiano Reggiano, the peppery, salty, delicious. Oh, it's so good. You're going to be spoiled. It is definitely decadent. Add a glass of buttery Chardonnay or your favorite glass of wine and enjoy. Now, that entire recipe is on today's show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast110. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each Monday's podcast, where I'll recommend a book, a film, or a recipe. Anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, stop by the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up the book, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide. To stay caught up on the most recent podcast, blog post, and receive exclusive news, as well as an extra dose of inspiration each week, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or your morning coffee, just in time to jumpstart the weekend. Until next Monday, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bon journée.